Live from the Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you by Export Ultra, the beer for here. This is the Agenda podcast for Monday, the 22nd of July.
The Agenda podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Morning, Lane, out of witness protection.
Yeah, look, I tell you what, witness protection's great if you didn't have to have your kids with you. Yeah, it would be like a holiday.
Yeah, well,
they make you go with your kids, and you got your kids there the whole time, and they're just nagging you.
It's for their own safety.
Yeah, that's true.
That they're down there as well. But how was it? How was your week?
Yeah, it was good. Wasn't too bad at all. In Rotes there.
Yeah.
Wet.
Yeah.
Shit, it was wet.
Around everywhere in the country, I think. But yeah, it's disappointing when you're on holiday.
And there's so many parents that are just like rejoicing to Jesus this morning that their kids are going back to school.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did it tough that second week in the rain.
I honestly reckon that parental leave should be in force for all school holidays. It's ridiculous that we make parents still have to try and juggle work, but then all the kids are spat out into the wide world. How does that work?
Like, I mean, admittedly, one of my children ended up on the local's Facebook page for making a disturbance in the library.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, look, I can take that. He's not, selling drugs or stealing cars. He's making a disturbance in the library.
Yeah, that's way down the list of, like, Code Brown at the pool.
Yes.
Doing drugs, huffing paint, whatever.
But he's at the library.
Disturbance at the library. What did he do?
He got a few Karens after him. Apparently they were rude to the librarian, but he reckons a couple of Karens, and they started filming them and following them around the library.
Following the kids around?
Yeah, it was weird.
I don't know what the rules are around following kids around filming them.
That's what happens when, this point was brought up by my eldest, which didn't go down well with the Karens because he knew his rights more than the Karens did. So. Yeah, anyway.
Anyway, good to have you back. Glad to have you back on board and in the studio. I want to start with the Warriors. I know it was Friday night, but geez, that was a tough one. A lot of people have asked me this morning, how did you feel about that one? I got to be honest, I kind of felt the same way I felt for the last 2 months. I've kind of already...
You resigned yourself to the fact that the Warriors, it's not the year.
It was when we had to win like 90% of our games for the rest of the year. I was like, we're going to drop one or two, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, well, do you put a line through them? I think... do you think it was Chanel Harris-Tavita's fault that we lost that game?
100% not his fault, because he's the fourth string kicker, because you have Sean Johnson, Pompey, Tane Tuapiki, and then he probably doesn't even practice. I can't imagine your fourth choice of goal kicker even practices.
Nah.
So
because he doesn't even kick even if he was playing down in New South Wales Cup, he wouldn't have been kicking there. They've got they've got a fullback that can kick. They've got halves. Yeah,
so I don't think it's not his fault. But Webby did come out and say the kicks didn't lose us the game. They did.
The kicks definitely
lost the game. But it wasn't Chanel Harris-Tavita's fault.
No. I agree with you. I don't think it was his fault. He shouldn't have, and there shouldn't have been any stress. He was beating himself up after the game, but I always have the mindset of if I shouldn't have been doing it, then I don't feel any pressure in those situations. So I'm like, I should fuck this up.
Do you know whose fault it is?
Yes.
Chris Keyzie.
It is Chris Keyzie. I've got the audio. I pulled the audio this morning. Have a listen to this. It is one of the all-time ACC commentators' curses.
And the try has been confirmed, and I tell you what, Manaia, not even Chanel Harris-Tavita can miss it from there. I hope.
That could go down as one of the all-time commentators' curses, Chris. I hope you're wrong.
Surely not.
Is this to draw the game?
Look at where he scored it. Surely not.
Time's
up.
The
way he just squinted his eyes there,
nor do I.
Blurry posts in front of him right now.
Nor do I. He looked at that post away up and looking at the screen the whole game. Oh dear.
That's on you.
So he shanked it around to the right.
Don't point at me. Yeah, fair enough. I am so sorry, everyone. I am so sorry for that. No, don't go all quiet.
Fuck you, man.
Manaia.
I'd gone quiet because I was weighing up whether or not to use it. I mean, look,
it was 10 to 12. It was so late as well. I stayed up to watch that, and I stayed up to watch the State of Origin on Wednesday. I was done with rugby league by the end of the week. I was done.
Oh, my God. I had to have a nap after arguably being overserved at the pub on Friday afternoon. But that's by the by. I just was... the pause was I was looking at Chris being like, you probably don't... I know we're on the adult channel. You probably don't get too many F-bombs in a season. I was like, if I'm ever going to use one, it's when our season goes out the window on a commentator's curse.
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, New Zealand, but I had to express how I felt and how I think a lot of New Zealanders felt.
Yeah, and I think it summed it up.
Because we're also looking for someone to pin it on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris Key is the one. So, Chris Key, fuck you, man.
Another highlight of the game, it was going around on social media, was they do, when you play in Canberra, they blow the Viking horn.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Which is such a crock of shit. Last year, they had a guy come out and he was on his deathbed. He was about 98 years old. And he blew it. I was like, no, he didn't. He's like dying of emphysema and he's up there blowing a 30-foot horn. No, he's not. So they've obviously got a button and they play the sound effect.
Don't ruin the theatre, you curmudgeon.
So we were talking about that in the commentary and the build-up to it. And we were talking about it so much that we got distracted and didn't notice that there was a guy ripping a can cone directly behind him, which is old school as to fashion a can cone. I've always said, give a stoner some weed and nothing to smoke it with, and you'll give birth to a physician.
Oh, yeah.
That would rival Albert Einstein. They'll just find an apple or a fucking pineapple or a cone or whatever. And I thought that was one of the most rugby league things of all time.
Yeah, and he was celebrated throughout the rugby league community as well. Ended up on NRL Roast, ended up everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the, over in the States, and they're legalizing it and blah, 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 and they're saying it's not a drug, it grows in the dirt. Nothing makes it look more like doing drugs than smoking it out of a can.
And sparking up the flame as well. And he knew. He knew exactly when he was going to be in frame because they focus on the horn, and he knew it. And as soon as he could hear his mates go, now. And he's like, yeah.
So in the commentary bit that we've posted up on social media, you can hear me going, look, it doesn't line up with the lungs at all. But I'm talking about the guy blowing the horn. But in the background, I had no idea there was a guy ripping a can cone as well. I was at the bus stop the other day, and a guy pulled up at the intersection in a ute and just ripped the can cone at the red light and then carried on, presumably to work.
I have seen a van full of painters pull up outside a bar in Auckland at the traffic lights, and I was sitting outside. It was down kind of by Britomart, and the guy in the front seat just had a huge bong, and he ripped the bong and then just passed it to the back, and there were 3 other dudes in the back just...
If you're in a painter's van, you might as well just take the lids off the paint and roll the windows up.
Yeah, totally.
Probably have the same effect. But shout out to the can cone guy. Anyway, if you want to head to a Warriors game, we've got a VIP experience for you to win, all thanks to Hallensteins. We want to hook you up with an exclusive opportunity to be that VIP at the Warriors. You're going to score yourself tickets, cash money for food and beverages, plus vouchers to be kitted out by the legends at Hallensteins. To get in the draw, text VIP to 3236. It's VIP to 3236. Be a VIP at the Warriors, thanks to the ACC and Hallensteins Brothers. A lot of Hallensteins kit getting around at Warriors home games at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely, not even just at Warriors games, everywhere you go.
Oh, Leisure Club and what's the other one? Leisure Club, Sporting Leisure?
Something like that.
Yeah.
But they're absolutely everywhere. It's like when you buy a car and all of a sudden you see the car everywhere else. I'm now seeing Leisure Club stuff absolutely everywhere. I took one of the hoodies home, and it's immediately been stolen by the missus.
Yeah.
And she is just wearing it everywhere. Every day she's wearing it.
Hey,
it's hers now. It's too late. It's over. She's fleeced it. It is a Monday, so a bit of accountability from across the weekend. The agenda hunch, you put on Dan Hillier to come top 40.
Yeah, and I got, you know what the response was from Joe Jury? Who's that? When I put it on, he goes, who's that? And I get a lot of stick. Who the fuck is that? I think was the response. I get a lot of stick for some of my hunches, and mainly my midnight gambling, early hours in the morning. But Dan Hillier, as I mentioned, he won the British Open last year over there in a breakout win. So I had just had a hunch. These conditions, which were difficult, shit, they were difficult. They blew out some pretty good top-ranked players, and he made the cut.
Because I think he started at like 5 over.
Yeah.
And then he made the cut. Because when I saw that, I was like, Jesus. But then I saw the leader at that time was like Shane Lowry, who was only 4 under.
Yeah.
And I think, who was it? Xander Schauffele won.
Yes.
I think he was only 2 under.
Yeah.
At the end of it.
Brutal conditions. It's so the Open to have like torrential rain, wind. Yeah. Like a Tiger Woods shanked one and made me feel so good. I saw him slice one onto the railway tracks, and I was like...
Rory McIlroy, I think.
Oh, was that him?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, because that's exactly what I would have done.
One of us.
Yeah, you're one of us.
Fucking hell, I would have... Yeah, I once hit a cow on the side of the head so hard off a tee in Waimea, just snap a slice, and bounced off.
They got hard heads, though. They wouldn't even notice.
Nah, but then I was like looking at the ball, I could see it. I was like, I'm not going in that paddock. This thing's going to kill me. But anyway, yeah, Hillier finished 19th in the end.
Yeah, because I chucked the Hundy on him finishing in the top 40.
Yeah.
It
was the Rick D's bet.
Yeah, paying Rick D's top 40, paying $8 too. So, and he comfortably did it, coming 19th. So, yeah. And Foxy, I think, came in at 25. So not a bad performance from those two Kiwis.
No, not at all. While we're holding ourselves accountable, though, our other one was on the All Blacks game of Safo Aumua, Billy Proctor, Ardie Savea, first try scorer. I think they all scored.
Yes.
But they weren't the first, unfortunately. And then the one that hurt me the most was Raiders versus New Zealand Warriors. Our hunch for that was a successful field goal in the match.
I saw one attempted.
Yeah, and then also because we had to snap off a 2-point drop goal because we missed all those kicks. I was like, we were talking about it in the commentary as well, like, this is going the way of Golden Point. That was a Golden Point game, all ends up, but unfortunately no. And then our three-way hunch, Carl let us down. So I think we actually gave you a bet because you weren't here on Friday, because last week you came in with Mark Talia. So we're like, he's been replaced for Caleb Clark. We'll give you Caleb Clark again. Came in.
Yep.
I went South Africa v Portugal. The line was 36.5. South Africa put a cricket score on them. And then Carl let us down with a donkey at Rose Hill, which I think is still going around this morning. My favourite racing joke. And so that one didn't come in either. But overall, not a bad week for the ACC, and we'll be paying out this Monday, which is always a good feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I had I do a hunch on the Hauraki breakfast as well, and I had it All Blacks 40+ and a Chiefs player to be the first try scorer. I was so close.
Who was the first try scorer?
It was Caleb Clark.
Caleb Clark,
yeah. It was jab of the butt. But second to score, I think, was Cortez Ratima. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah. A bit of a blowout. Look, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to break down that game over there in San Diego. Well, the All Blacks went over to Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego and absolutely demolished Fiji, as I think everyone thought they would. Basically, the game went almost exactly how we thought it was going to, but I would say that the first 10-15 minutes were hardly a great advertisement for the game, were they?
No, a lot of kicking, a lot of just kicking backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
And can I ask the question, and I brought it up this morning with Matt and Jerry, it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why was it in San Diego?
Oh.
Why?
I don't think you're going to like the answer to this, but I heard that they were going to host it in Hamilton, and then San Diego said, look, we've got a bit of marketing budget. We'll pay you to come over here. And so New Zealand Rugby had the option to play in Hamilton or in San Diego. And this might hurt your feelings, but they decided to play in San Diego.
As Matt Heath pointed out this morning, rugby is under attack from so many codes in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Whether it's the NRL, NBA, NFL, NBL, you know what I mean? And, like, just in general, and to take it away from fans and go elsewhere for a bit of publicity coin.
And I don't think that's going to change anyone's mind, that game.
No. Look, if it was in Dinnerau, that would have been awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
If you'd sold that and sold family packages to flights, accommodation, ticket to All Blacks Fiji and Dinnerau, they'll bus you over to Nandi or whatever, or Lautoka. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. And, you know, Fiji tourism probably would have stumped up a little bit of cash, probably not as much as San Diego.
No.
How many people are going to San Diego now as a result of that?
Not me.
Just a few junkets. Bonnie Jansen on a junket.
Bonnie Jansen, James McConey.
Yeah.
Would be about it.
Yeah. How much did they pay to go over there?
Nothing. Martin Onu got interviewed before the game as well. He's over there.
He's still playing, isn't he?
4 or 5 years. Yeah, he's about 73 years old, and he's still playing, but built for it. And I think they actually played in their semi-final over the weekend, the San Diego Legion. Don't know how they went. A better podcast would be able to tell you. But it was a try-fest, that game. It was sort of like a bit of a boring first half, and then the second half was even more boring because we started blowing them out. Yeah. And it was like...
that's like I said, it's a W, though. I said that to Matt and Jerry. We'll take the W. But I just found it a strange, hollow W.
Because it was taken over there, or because of the score? Yeah, it's funny you say that. The decision between San Diego and Hamilton reminds me of when Stephen Donald he tells a story that he was asked to go over to the south of France in the bye week of a Super Rugby season. So he was leaving the Chiefs at the end of that season, and so his agent said, hey, there's a team in the south of France that want to take you over there, show you around, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I'm hosting a barbecue back in Hamilton this weekend, so I can't go. And his agent was just like, I really think you should go over and take this opportunity to have a look around the south of France. He said, nah. So he stays at home and has this barbecue in Hamilton. The next year he's playing for Bath over in the UK.
Yeah.
They go over and play. I forget the name of the city. It might have been Nice or something like that. It's somewhere in the south of France. He goes over there. They finish the game. He rings his agent straight away. He's like, why the fuck didn't you tell me how nice it is down here? I could have been playing down here the whole time. And he goes, mate, I told you it was nice.
But you stuck around to cook some sizzlers in Hamilton, you loser.
And he said he'd make the same decision again today if you asked him to.
And another bit of controversy from that game. And look, I'm a bit of criticism for, discussing females in sport, and that was the greatest anthem I've ever heard. It was flawless. I thought it was slightly slow, but flawless.
Pitchy to start. She finally settled on a key.
No complaints from me. One of the best anthems I've ever seen.
Brilliant. I think we should move on. Ardie Savea, I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes, great news. I love it.
Yep, so he has decided that he signed a new contract with New Zealand Rugby, which will take him through to the next World Cup over in Australia. But domestically, he is making the switch from Wellington to Moana Pasifika.
I think that's awesome. That is what Moana Pasifika needs.
Yes.
Get Tupuvai in there, get some of Penny Finau in there.
Shannon Frizzell's off contract after next year.
Yeah, get it, do it. It's awesome. I love it. It's good for Moana Pasifika.
Yeah.
He will probably come up here and live with his brother.
They did the old Giannis Antetokounmpo trick where you sign the brother to try and get the star player over.
The lure, the grooming.
Yeah, that's right. I think a lot of these Super Rugby players want to eventually move to Auckland, particularly when they're sort of inclined, like media inclined, like Ardie is. He's done podcasts and things like that. So I think it's a good way of him to move to Auckland without playing for the Blues, without having to do a Bowden Barrett, So I think it's good too, because Moana Pasifika haven't really landed on an identity or a fan base or anything,
No, and they keep getting stripped of their best players after every year.
Yeah, Levi Moore's now down at the Crusaders.
Yeah.
So I think
Tavanawa got pinched by the Highlanders.
And I think if you were to name one player in Super Rugby that would be able to draw a crowd, it would be Ardie Savea.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Did you watch the video that he put up of the announcement?
Did he talk about himself in the third person?
He actually didn't talk in this one. Oh, I think he said something like "Moana, let's go" or something like that. Because if you didn't see it, the last time he negotiated his own contract, and he congratulated himself on social media by interviewing himself.
Yeah.
That's an all-timer. I'd love to know what he thinks about that a few years on from interviewing himself about his own contract. He probably still stands by it, to be fair. But
I'm not going to bring it up with him, but maybe you'll find the right time and place.
I was going to ask him about it when I saw him at the airport the other day. I decided against it. I was like, you know what? I'd rather make the flight.
No, because that was awkward, because we were lining up for security, and it's like saying hi to someone at the supermarket. You keep coming back past them.
I know, it's the worst when you see someone at the thing, because then you're like, oh, what are you out to? Catching a flight? What do you reckon?
And then you see them 10 seconds later walking back the other way.
Yeah.
And you're like...
yeah, it is a little disappointing. I think, not to go back over it again, but I do think the trade, like the whole trades free agency thing in Super Rugby, that kind of came out of nowhere. No one even really knew that he was redoing his contract or whatever, But it's
weird that the rugby union decide where they go as well, and they're contracted centrally. You know what I mean? That's what I find weird. It's like he signed with the rugby union and is playing for Moana, like the rugby union are the puppeteers of where players go. And I don't know. That's probably a massive generalisation, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, but I also think if you are the way that it works anywhere now, you have that central contract. Well, then a draft and trade system works perfectly, because you've already got them, by dead to rights. So it's like, fuck, we'll tell you where you're going to go, and you're going to be traded for this, and blah 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 blah. I think, and everybody just says, oh, it wouldn't work in New Zealand. It's like the NBL just did it last year. The National Basketball League, the Sal's Pizza fucking NBL playing out of your local YMCA.
That's what we kind of, that's what we kind of said, is strip back everything and just have NPC, and then just draft them into Super Rugby, or NPC or Club Rugby, Super Club Rugby.
You know
what I mean? Like Auckland, like was mentioned, Auckland have 4 teams.
Yeah.
Hamilton has 2.
Yeah.
Wellington has 2. Christchurch has 2. Dunedin has 1. Southland has 1. Tasman has 1. It's like Super Club. That's the draft system to go into Super Rugby.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Look, I think it will work, but we've talked about it ad nauseum. The Snackachangi Sports Scholarship's up and running at the moment. This is where binge watching sport is a sport. And if you want to win that, you text CHIP to 3236, follow the link, and you could be in to have G Lane come and meet you at a car park somewhere near your house to drop it off. We had the first winner. He didn't have a car park. Is that what it was?
No, he's
an apartment.
He's a downtown apartment dweller.
Yeah.
So I had to meet him in the basement of a car park, like it was a serious drug deal.
Yeah.
Except it was a great deal for him because he got a couple of boxes of Snackachangies. He got a bunch of merch. He got some delicious beverages from Export Ultra.
And the only risk was that Batman was going to show up and kick both your asses.
But he was pretty happy, I'll tell you that. It's a great prize to win, so just text CHIP to 3236 and get involved.
Absolutely. Speaking of get involved, let's take one more ad break. When we come back, it's yours, please.
Yours, please. Brought to you by Leader, home of the lasagna topper.
Just a few of them to get through today, but I will say across the weekend, we had someone's kid get hold of their phone and they just pressed the old button and went beep, 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 doo, 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 and then hung up. So just be careful. I thought I was going to play it, but then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to bother. We're talking about following kids around, filming them at the library. Let's just steer clear of it. So first, particularly the content of the calls that we get through. We don't want any kids involved in this. So first caller here, yours please.
Fuck you, Keyzie. We had that game in the bag, and fuck South Canterbury.
There you go. I agree with that.
That one came through at 11:42. At 11:46, the same number sent in another one basically saying the same thing. And again at 11:48.
So you think he just forgot that he did it each time? Or was he just making sure?
At least one of the times he forgot, but I think it just hurt so much. And in these trying times, we always look for someone to blame things on. And
Chris Key's our straw man on this occasion.
It was Chris. After the commentary, he goes, "Geez, I thought we would get way more backlash on the text machine than we got." And I was just like, I wasn't reading them out, but you can have a look if you'd like. I would recommend you don't.
Yep.
He had a look and it was brutal. It was basically every now and then, the ACC hive mind will just kick in and we'll get the same text a million times in a row.
Was it fuck you, Chris Key?
It was some sort of variation of fuck you, Keyzie, the whole way down. Again, I don't think it was Chanel Harris-Tavita's fault. To be honest, probably not Chris's fault either. But if you're looking for people to blame it on, unfortunately, Keyzie threw himself in front of that bus. Another caller here. Yours, please.
Hey, boys. Steve from Magoon here, live from the Staple. Hey, podcast late again. What the fuck's going on? Is that because Manaia's a bit simple and from South Canterbury? Yeah, fucking know where it's going. Oh, yeah.
Jesus. That's a lights off voicemail.
Yeah, it's lights off. And he's having a spa. The family's inside, or the missus is inside. The sparkle's out on the deck there. He hasn't even got the bubbles on because it's too loud.
Yeah.
So you can just hear it gurgling in the background, just the kind of him just sloshing around in there.
Yeah. Just wallowing around in his genital soup.
There's a reason why the podcasts are late every now and then, because we're obviously waiting for an announcement of some description, or we're interviewing someone. So every now and then it's a couple of hours late.
Yeah. So last week we had an interview, and then there was the All Blacks team
and the cricket news.
announced. So look, they're going to be a little late every now and then, but when we do that, it's because we want to make sure we put the best product out we can. And some would say that the earlier they are, the shitter they are. But anyway, apologies, and thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. Another caller here, yours, please.
Hey lads, with all this fucking soccer chat of late, a few of the boys want to know, would a round ball do any different to rugby? Let's get rid of the E shape, put a round one in there, and play by the same rules. Some of the boys reckon there'll be a whole new game. I reckon it'll do fuck all. What do you think?
Right, so this is just, instead of rugby, you just have a round ball to play with. Soccer ball to play with. I don't think you can punt a brown ball a long way. Like those drop kicks that those goalies do go about 80 metres.
Yeah, they do. I think first off the bat, passing would be a nightmare. Passing a round ball, you couldn't pass as far, I don't think. Also,
yeah, true.
The other part is you're holding quite a large ball now as you're running, and to get tackled there, you know when two dudes hold those big Swiss balls and run at each other?
Yes, that's my favourite thing on YouTube to watch.
So
I like it when three people do it because one person takes all of the kinetic energy out of all, and now it doesn't. No one knows which one, and they go. Pew!
It's like double bouncing your cousin on the trampoline.
Yeah,
see ya. So I think there'd be a bit of that action.
Yeah.
The kicking would be a little weird.
I don't know about. I think kicking would be fine.
Well, the thing is, like a grubber, the advantage of it being an oval ball is that it's going to pop up for you to catch. But now a grubber's just going to roll across the carpet,
and you know exactly with the bounce of the ball as well.
Yeah,
with a chip kick.
Yeah, chip kick's just going to pop up perfectly for you. You know exactly where it's going. I think conversions would be easier.
Would you take them off a tee or is it off the ground?
Oh, that's a good question. I think you would probably still go off the tee, wouldn't you? Because you're trying to kick it up.
I don't know. I think the passing will look awkward. It'll look like a kind of a cross between netball and chest passing.
Yeah, the passing will look ridiculous. I think that the game would be worse for having it. But I do think that it would be... Can you kick it as far as a rugby ball? I don't know.
Some of those goalies kick it a hell of a long way.
Yeah,
when I was watching the Europes, I was like, man, that guy timed that and from the outside of the box and it went pretty much to the other end of the field.
Yeah. Look, I think obviously to make the game worse, otherwise we would have done it 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to watch. Surely like a social club should play a quarter of rugby with a soccer ball, just to see what would happen. I think it would change the complexion of goal kicking. I don't know in which direction. I think they'd be more accurate than less accurate.
Yeah.
Probably would have helped us on the weekend, the Warriors.
I think you could kick it from 60 metres, I reckon.
Yeah, probably. Just on that, by the way, and I know I've said this before on the podcast, but it's just come back into my brain. I think goal kicking shouldn't be part of rugby or rugby league. I think it
is an odd. When you take a helicopter view, it's an odd thing.
If it didn't exist, we wouldn't invent it. If rugby league didn't exist and we invented it tomorrow, it would not be part of it. Because if you're at the meeting and you're like, right, we've got the game, you run, you get tackled. If you put the ball over the line, then you score points. And if someone at the corner of the meeting were like, what if after you put the ball down, you then played a different game where you had to kick it through some posts? You'd be like, get the fuck out of the meeting. That makes no sense at all. So I think we should do away with it. It's the equivalent of, in the NBA, if you shot a 3-pointer, you got 3 points, and then they had a net underneath the hoop and you were able to kick the ball into the net for another 2 points. Like, why? It doesn't add anything to the game.
Are you saying get rid of conversions or all kicking? So no penalty kicks
all either? Kicking, no penalty kicks.
No droppies?
No droppies.
Just tries?
Yeah, just tries. Try-fest. Golden point is just golden try. You just keep going until someone scores a try.
Well, I'm down with that.
Because I think the only thing it does is it rewards players for scoring in the middle of the field as opposed to the sides. That's basically the only advantage for goal kicking. And as we saw on the weekend... Fuck, it breaks your heart when you lose a game from goal kicking. It's like we played well.
Yeah.
We played better than they did, I would say.
Yeah, and when you're scoring more tries in your opposition, you lose.
And then you still lose.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Because with this other bullshit part of the game? Yeah, I don't know. Does my head in. I think we should do away with it. They never will. But certainly could have saved us on the weekend. All right, I think that'll do us for today for a Monday episode of The Agenda. We are heading out to Mount Smart Stadium, myself and Di Henwood, to interview a few of the Warriors for the Mad Monday podcast. Yep. So make sure you keep an eye out for that one. And apologies to anyone sitting in their spa bath this afternoon. That one will be a little later than usual.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yep, so bear with us there. But yeah, enjoy that. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow for a Tuesday episode of The Agenda podcast.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartradio or wherever you get your podcasts.